Good afternoon, everybody. How are you all doing today? And welcome to lesson number 6. And lesson 6 will actually be how to use TradingView, how to set it up as well, and how to make the best use of it and using the indicators that I used already right now. I hope you guys have had a wonderful time in my lessons so far. So if we just take a look at what we've covered so far, right? In lesson number 1, we talked about the introduction class, which talked about a lot of the different terminologies that we use in the day-to-day lingo. I know that you guys are probably a lot more fluent now when it comes to watching technical analysis and understanding what a lot of these people are saying. In lesson number 2, we talked about what separates a superstar status from the mediocre, and we were talking about emotions, risk management, and how to trade like a casino. We want to make sure that we focus on high probability setup trades and especially make sure that we stick to high risk to reward setups that will actually use that would yield a very large return compared to what you can actually lose. And make sure that you're always sticking to your stop loss as well. The stop loss is definitely one of the most important things that I can emphasize. It's a way to minimize our losses because we have to remember that we have to know how to protect, how to preserve our money that we've actually made already. This way we can actually focus on growing it as well. And then lesson number 3, we talked about dollar cost averaging and the importance of laddering your buys. If you know how to ladder your buys as it's going down and down and down and down, you're going to have a much higher chance of making sure that you're stable when it comes to averaging out the cost of your position there. I'm sure you guys have all been in this situation where you've only purchased from one specific situation and you're entirely stuck, right? But dollar cost averaging and laddering your buys is a great way for you to focus on how to make sure that you're slowly buying and you average out the cost to get the best average pricing. And then level 4, we spent a great deal of time talking about the level 2 order books there. And I'm sure you guys know how to read it extremely well now, where you can talk about the bids and the ask. And it also gives you very good real-time momentum changes. And lesson 5, we talked about what is going long, what is the definition of shorting, what is margin trading, and what are the risks. And always remember what I've said, right? Make sure you guys are not leveraging. I just had to go over it to discourage you guys from leverage trading because if you do leverage, unfortunately, it's a great way to blow your entire account, guys. And a lot of people end up doing that. And I don't want to see you guys as one of the people that are actually blowing your accounts or getting liquidated. So, first of all, let's talk about the importance of a chart. What is a chart, guys, huh? I'm sure you guys have all seen this before, and it's probably complicated if you have never seen this before, right? I know that the first time that I looked at this, guys, I've got so many stories that I could tell you. I used to look at it and wonder, what the heck are these things? And I would guess so much. And it was so much work and effort for me to actually figure this out on my own. And I spent like hundreds, guys, thousands of hours just, researching all of this material, which I'm going to compress for you guys so you know exactly what's necessary. I honestly wish I had this exact video that I'm gonna make right now, not to put myself on a pedestal or anything, but I kid you not, that if this video was available when I first started trading, it would have just changed my life, guys, right? If someone actually told me everything that I actually needed to know. What is a chart? Okay, a chart is a story. That is honestly what it is. It is a story that tells you what is happening in the market over time, right? It gradually moves from left to right. And every time something happens, it actually leaves a trail for us to read clues, right? So when we're seeing these clues, we try to look at the past that can actually help us evaluate what could happen in the future. And all these candles and everything that you see, such as indicators as well, what they do is they give you clues and they tell you the strength in the market, what is happening at a specific time, what is happening what happened in the past before, ignore how much of something has happened as well. So the way that I see charts is simply just as a beautiful story that is being told. And once we know how to read this story, right? This is a very different language, guys. Super different language. But once you actually learn in high detail how to actually read all this information in the chart, it is no different than picking up an actual book and reading it as if it were a story, right? And once you learn these skills, right, of course, there's still going to be some element where you may be wrong, right? Because some of it's going to be guesswork, but the majority of it will make a lot of sense, right? Think of it as a game. I personally see it kind of like a puzzle, right? It doesn't have an actual answer, but we try to find clues that will make us lean one way much more than the other way. So I love charts, and what we have to do is we have to customize it to our personal liking, right? So this is the way that I have mine set up right here, as you guys can see, right? And we're going to go over how I personally set it up, so it'll give you guys a gauge of how you might possibly like your setup as well. So make sure you guys understand that charts tell a story, and they are a beautiful story that they tell. And once we learn how to interpret and decode this information that we find in the charts, it's going to be beautiful. So just to give you guys a quick overview, the bottom is the timeline, right? It goes over time, right? In this axis over here. And in this axis, this is the price, right? This is the lower price end. This is the higher price end. So we always move from left to right. And the prices will always go up and down, up and down. So for example, if you see it right here, what you're going to see is the price right here at $9,500. It means that it went down because it went from up to down. So let's get into this, guys, and let's learn how to customize TradingView because I'm really excited to teach you guys how to customize it and start our official lesson number 6, blowing your accounts or getting liquidated. So today we're going to talk about the necessity of charts and how to customize it with TradingView. So make sure you guys are heading over to TradingView over here. Create an account, of course. I personally use the free one. I go back and forth with using the professional one. It just really depends on my mood. Sometimes I feel like having the RSI alerts. Sometimes I don't want to have the RSI alerts, and it doesn't really matter too much. But we're gonna go over what the free one can actually allow you guys to have. So the first thing you guys want to do is you want to, when you're on the main page here, where it says under ticker, make sure it's on ticker, and then type in, for example, Bitcoin, right? BTC. You want to type in the ticker here, and then we're going to get to the main page. That's going to allow you to learn how to customize this, and we're going to go over every single option here. I personally use black as my background, as you guys saw already, and I'll show you guys how to customize all of it from the beginning. I personally use black because I just like the color a lot better. When you're constantly staring at a screen, white can be too contrasting and it can actually burn your eyes over time. Excuse me, I just have to cough for a second. Excuse me here. All right, so type in BTC and head over to any exchange that you personally trade on. So I'm going to go to Bitfinex because that's where I personally trade. And first of all, I actually want to show you guys something in the Chrome store, okay? So this is a really, really good option for you. Oh, actually, it's already up there. My mistake. Okay, so Chrome Store. I personally use this extension right here. It's called Open as Pop-up. Okay, whoops. Open as Pop-up right here. Okay, it's this little guy right here, Open as Pop-up. And what it actually does is notice how you're seeing all the bookmark toolbars right here. And notice how you're also seeing the address bar here as well, right? If you click on it, it actually makes it look like a pop-up style where it actually removes everything over here, just so you guys know, okay? So I highly recommend that you guys get this pop-up opener as well. It makes everything look like a pop-up. It removes the toolbars, it removes the bookmarks, it removes the address bar as well. And we'll get into why this is really awesome for you guys to customize it like this. So after you've typed in Bitcoin, what you want to do is you're going to see this chart over here. We're going to ignore everything right here and we're going to click on interactive chart, all right? Now, once you click on interactive chart, you get all of this, welcome, start, etc., etc. We're gonna skip this beginning part right here because I'm gonna be the one that's gonna instruct you guys on how to use this properly and accordingly. So you have this little toolbar on the side over here that has your watch list, right? We're gonna ignore all of this and just focus on the chart. You can hide this widget by clicking on this little show widget or hide widget button as well. You can also hide this on the left, right? You see all these toolbars over here, okay? See all these toolbars over here? You can click on this tiny little arrow, which will actually hide and show it. So once again, this one here has a widget. When you guys first open it, you're going to see it like that every single time, right? You can just hide it like that. This one here, you can just right click on this panel right there, okay? You can right click on this panel and just go to hide as well, because what we want to focus on is basically just this over here and nothing else. So if you guys notice here, this is where your time frames are. You can go to 2 hour chart. You can go to a 4 hour chart, for example. Okay. You can go to a daily chart and we'll keep it here for now. So let's first of all go to, we're going to right click on here. We're going to right click and we're going to go to properties. Okay. There's also a dark theme as well, right? That people like to use here. So I personally like to use the dark theme. It's actually a lot easier on the eyes, right? If you go to color themes, you can go to light. If you go to color themes here, you can go to dark. I personally like to use the dark one because it's so much easier on the eyes, guys. So much easier. So let's also right click on it right now. Then we're going to go to properties, okay? And then we're going to customize all of this very well. I personally like to have a much brighter green color. So I click on this green button there. And I also like it to be much darker for the red. So I choose a much darker red color as well. And I do it for the candles and for the borders and for the wick as well. So I do it for all three of them to make sure that the colors are actually all lined up the exact same way. Okay. So you guys are going to see me just do it over here as well. There you go. So now it's very contrasting, very, very bright on the eyes, if you guys have noticed, right? So you don't have to make it that bright. It's really up to you guys what colors you prefer. Although I like to have it very contrasting on the screen once again, because what it actually does show, right? It looks really contrasting and it looks great. The candle style that I use is just the basic candles. I don't use hollow. Not many people use hollow. Not many people use these ones as well. I recommend to just keep it on the basic candles right over here, okay? So the price line, if you guys notice what the price line is right here, okay, if you make it thicker, notice how the price line where it is, it'll actually thicken or thin. It'll thin or thicken the line, whatever you guys prefer to have it at, right? So it's really just a matter of preference as well. Now let's go to scales, okay? And don't worry about any of these right now, okay? We're gonna go over all of these, every single thing in fine detail. So the scales, we don't need to worry about it quite yet, but you guys could make it bigger if you want to as well, right? You can make this bigger for your price to bar ratio scales as well. And you can increase the margin, for example, on the top if you don't want it to go nearly as high. Okay, so I keep mine at around 8%, right? Just to make sure there's a lot of clearance where it's going to show everything that I actually wanted to show. If you guys would like to have a left axis here as well, that's going to show the price. Just click on the left axis right here, and you'll have a price on this side and you'll have a price on this side. Some people prefer to have the price on this side only, but it makes sense to have it only on the right, in my opinion, because we're looking at it from the right, right? Which makes a lot more sense as well. So that's what I like to do. So on the background, I like to have it a really deep, dark background. Okay, did you guys just notice what happened there? I think the default one was yeah. I'll show you guys what I changed over here as well. Oh, I actually changed it all back. So let's do that again very quickly. Okay, so choose whatever green color you want. Just make sure it's green because you want to make sure it's reflected properly there, right? Choose my price line. So now it's really bright like that, but this is more of a gray background. So the way that I like to personally have it is I like to make sure it's black, right? If I click on black, Now we get a very, very black type of background, which looks wonderful. So if you guys want this text right here to be bigger, just click on this scaled text right here. So if I click on 20 now, notice how big the text actually is. Make it an appropriate size that you guys would actually like to have it. So whatever you want, okay? Notice my crosshair right now looks like this, okay? Notice my crosshair looks like that. You guys can go to your properties here, and then you can choose the crosshair to whatever you like. I personally like the ones that's more dotted, like that, okay? But let's just keep it on this one because it's a lot easier to see sometimes for you guys as well. So notice how visible this is right here as well, right? So this should be pretty prominent to see as well, right? I'm just going to check on my price here very quickly. All right, I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay for Bitcoin Cash. I decided to short it just so you guys know because I don't think it's going to get really that much higher anytime soon right now. So let's just keep taking a look at this. So the price line, if you guys see this right here, whenever the price is actually going down, it's going to be red. Whenever the price is going up, it's actually going to be green, right? So once again, the price line, if you see it red right here, it's usually generally means that people are actually selling Bitcoin right now and they're more interested in selling at that specific time. If you see it green, it means that the order books are actually being green, okay? So let's also go to the backgrounds. Well, let's see what else we can change. If you guys don't like your grids, you can get rid of these grids, for example, right? You can just make it black like that, and now there's actually no grid. But I don't like it like that at all, okay? I would definitely recommend to just keep the grids, just to keep it a little bit consistent, and you got something to contrast the background as well. The watermarks here, I'm not really sure what the watermark is. I'm just going to leave that here for a little bit. So if you guys notice here, if you put your mouse over right there, right, you can kind of move left, you can move right, etc. You can zoom in, right? You can zoom out, etc. I personally don't like to have that there. So when I go to background, I just say always invisible. Now that you have it as always invisible, when you put your mouse over here, it's actually not even going to show up at all, okay? So what else can we adjust over here? So if you guys look over here, right, take a look at that. If let's say I unchecked everything right here, notice how everything disappears, right? We don't really care about the symbol description, do we? We know it's Bitcoin. We know it's on the Bitfinex, whatever. We know that all already. The most important one to have is the O, the H, the L, and the C, which refers to the open, the high, the low, and the close, right? So we'll go over that in high detail when we actually get to the descriptions, or sorry, when we get to candlestick analysis. Now, the indicator values, we don't really care about the indicator values. We know what we're looking at already. Indicator augments, we don't care about any of that. Indicator value, yeah, you guys might care about that, right? If you care about that, you can always keep that just the way it is right there, right? Indicator values, it might show, for example, the volume or something like that. So if you put your mouse over here on the volume, we see that this volume is at 29.513K, right? Bitcoins that's being sold right now. So let's go to some more properties and see what we can adjust. I always keep mine right on my time. Okay, so go to your time just to make for it to make more sense. But just so you guys know, UTC time is the time that Bitcoin or that all coins basically refer to the daily chart. Okay, so the daily chart, make sure you guys understand that. Like for example, right now it's 3 in the morning here. Bitcoin for me on a daily is 7 p.m. And that's when it actually shows my open and my close. Now, my trading positions, none of this is really relevant whatsoever, in my opinion, because we're not really trading from here, right? So let's say we clicked on one of these values over here, right? The symbol value, I personally like to keep it on there, right? The symbol value, just like that. And then we can keep it on percentages if you guys are curious about that as well, okay? Now we're gonna add some indicators, okay? Go to your indicator, click on this little button right there, the indicator. First of all, type in relative strength index if that's what you guys are gonna be using, right? Click on it one time, okay? And then we're also gonna type in MACD, right? Click on it one time again. And now we see it like this. What I recommend for people to do is to make it a lot more visible, okay? Double click on your RSI now that we have everything up here. maybe make the line a little bit thicker. Okay, maybe you can drag this to however thick you'd like. I keep mine on the third one about there. And I also make mine very, very visible like this. I make mine actually purple and incredibly visible. Now it's a lot more visible, right? As you guys can see. And also this right here, you guys can make this whatever color you want. The histogram, I keep mine green, okay? I keep mine green and I make it very visible and I actually keep mine on columns. Columns is a lot more visible to me and that's the way I like to have it. Now this one right here, the MACD, okay? The MACD is which one is it here? The orange one, I keep mine as like about red or like maybe reddish, right? Red, and I make it very thick. And this one here, I keep it as about bluish, right? And I keep it around there as well. So now it's really visible as you guys can notice, right? You can also drag it like this to whatever size you'd like to have it as well. So make sure it's comfortable to you guys. If you right click on this right hand side here, if you take off, for example, last symbol value, or you can take off all of these, right? Symbol values, etc., right? You don't need to have all of these on there if you don't like it, right? You can keep it a clean chart. I personally like to have the last symbol value on here, right? And this one, I don't really care about seeing what the RSI is at or what any of these are at. So now it looks really good. So one thing I want to go over is notice how when we're moving it, it automatically resizes everything for us right here, right? It resizes for us. If you actually right click on here and you go to lock scale, now it actually doesn't, right? Now it doesn't really resize. If you go to auto scale, you actually can't move up and down, okay? You can't move up and down or anything at all, only left and right. But if you right click on it and go to lock scale, now that lock scale is actually checked mark, you can move it freely up and down, right? Not this one. These ones are still locked because we have it on auto scale. But if you want to go to unlock for these ones as well, you can if you'd like, but there's really no point. So now this one here, right, you can zoom in and out with your mouse wheel button. So if you zoom in and out just like that, it looks pretty decent to me. And another thing that I recommend doing is putting in a moving average, right? Type in EMA, and it's called moving exponential average, okay? And you're gonna see this line that shows up right there, right? I would recommend making it white or whatever color you personally like. I keep it white. And now if you go to inputs, this is going to choose the moving average that you can use. For example, if you keep it on the 100 moving average, okay, there you go. Now you have a moving average. So the moving average is basically a line that will take the previous price sample and it's going to give you an average of the samples, right? The average of the prices that we see it move throughout. So it's really important to have some sort of moving average on here. Now let's go over some of the other features on here, like the drawing tools. If you notice, if you put your mouse on any of these ones, right, there's a tiny little button on the right-hand side, okay? Right there. On every single button right here, you're going to see a right-hand button that will open up a context menu for you to actually choose different options. So this one right here is a line, right? We can choose a line, and you can also activate your favorite toolbars as well. One thing that I recommend that you do is to stay in drawing mode. And I will explain to you how you stay in drawing mode and what that means. Let's say I am not in drawing mode, right? It's right here, stay in drawing mode, or this button right here as well, stay in drawing mode. If I'm not in it, if I clicked on this arrow button, right, and then I clicked here, if I clicked left clicked again, it does nothing. Now I have to click on the arrow again and then click. I have to click on the arrow again and then click. I have to click on the arrow again and then click. But watch what happens when I stay in drawing mode. If I stay in drawing mode and I click on this icon button, I can just left click, left click, left click, left click. And it'll actually keep drawing those arrows for me without having to keep clicking on that right there. So I personally love to make sure it's always on stay in drawing mode. Now, another cool feature that they have, if you go right click on the anywhere on the screen, go to drawing tools, and you can actually right click right here on favorite drawing tools, right? So if you actually starred this right here, and you starred that, and you starred that, and you starred that, then you actually have a favorite drawing menu where you can keep some of your favorite things on here. You can also right click on it and go to hide, right? If you would like it back, right click on the screen, go to drawing tools, then go to favorite drawing tools and it pops back up here. So let's say we wanted to draw a line, okay? This simple line right there. Now another window opens up. You can choose the color to whatever you like. Let's say we chose yellow because it's very bright. This one here refers to how thick you would want it. So for example, we can choose it like that. If you right click anywhere, it actually exits from the menu or whatever context menu that you're in. If you click on the line, another little window pops up here where you can edit it. If I click on a blue color, it will change it to blue. If I click on yellow, it will change it to yellow. If you want to make it thicker, you can do that. If you want to make it thinner, you can do that as well. A really good thickness is usually the second or the third one that I like to play with. Now, the second one is the style. Do you want it dotted, right? Do you want it like that? Do you want it solid, right? And these are just different points. This is an arrow that's going to point that way, right? You could have an arrow, you can have two dots like that as well. I don't really use these often, to be quite honest. I just use it just the way it is already, okay? If you want to delete something, click on this and click on delete, right? If you actually would like to get back what you had, just like in any other software, you hold down Control, press Z, and it will bring it back up. Control Y will also, it'll do the same thing just like Control Z, Control Y anywhere else. So if I go to Control Y, for example, or Control Z, it'll do that. Let's say I wanted the exact same line and I didn't want to draw it again. Hold down your Control button, right? Click on this line, right? And then drag it and then let go of your mouse button and it'll actually do that. It'll just drag it. So keep practicing that. Hold down Control, click on the line, drag it and drop it. It will make a duplicate, which makes it very easy. So once again, hold down Control, click on the line, drag it and drop it. If you would like to delete it, just click on the line and press the delete on your keyboard. Click on the line, press the delete on the keyboard. Click on the line, press delete on the keyboard. So these options here, there's a lot of different ones, and let's go over it. So at an angle, for example, which you guys might not be using a lot of quite yet, right? And I personally don't use it a lot either. It just gives us a gauge of the actual angle that we're working in, right? So you can click on here. If you double clicked on it, right? If you double clicked on it, you can change the color of the text, for example. You can choose the size of the text as well, and it'll all change that for you as well. So you guys are welcome to go through all of these, and I'll show you one that I use a lot. Okay, ones most often. I don't really use like horizontal line. It makes a line all across the page. Okay, and this one's actually used fairly often, as you guys have seen me use, right? It can be used to denote resistances and supports, etc. as well, right? So it's not too bad the way that we're looking at that. So another way that I recommend to take a look at this is if you want to draw just only a line, but from a specific point. For example, from right here where my mouse is, only to the right. You click on this button right here. It's called horizontal ray. Click on it, click down, and it'll only create a line from where you started clicking and to the actual right? So sometimes this is useful as well. And I'm sure you guys will get very creative and we're going to talk about many different ways for you guys to use it. So one of my favorite tools as well, oh, I need to emphasize something. If you would like to look at something with a much bigger picture, double click on the one that you would like to look at. For example, this is one section with just the candles. This is another section with just the RSI, and this is another section with just the MACD, right? If you would like to just look at the candlestick in full screen, double click on it, right? You can double click on it. If you want the really big screen, you can go to full screen right there as well, right? And then just press escape to exit. There's this full screen button right there on the top right. If I double clicked on it right now, right, it'll actually exit taking this specific graph. So if I wanted full screen or the bigger picture of the RSI, I would double click on this part right here, and now I get a full picture of the RSI, okay? Now if I wanted, for example, just the MACD in a big screen, I would double click on the MACD and it would actually give me a big screen like this. Then double click again to exit it. So another really important one that I use is parallel channels. These are my favorite ones right here, okay? I'll show you guys what parallel channel is. So this is the parallel channel. Just imagine you're drawing a normal line, okay? You left click right here, anywhere, left click on the first point, and then left click again on the second point, and then move your mouse up or down, and it will actually make a parallel line. So just as an example, if I were wanting to try to draw a parallel line here, I would left click here first, I would left click somewhere here, and I could draw kind of a parallel channel like that. Now this one's a little bit bright, so you might not want to be using this specific one, but you guys get what I mean. You could also extend it by moving it like that, right? You can move it up and down. You can drag it and drop it as well by moving it up and down. It's just more so like an interface that you guys are going to spend a lot of time using, and eventually you'll find out what ones you like and which ones you don't like. So I personally use a lot of, I'll show you guys the ones that I use the most of, okay? I don't really use the pitchforks or the shift pitchforks or the modified pitchforks as much, but if you guys use that, great. I use Fibonacci retracement. I use trend-based Fibonacci extension as well. So if you want to use, for example, if you want to star it because you want to have it on your favorite toolbar, okay? So it's on right there. You click on the little right button on the arrow there, okay? Then you click on Fib extension retracement. You click on the first point, and then you click on the second point, and it'll actually do that right there, right? And if let's say you double click on any of these lines, double click on say the red line or the yellow line or the green line, any of them, double click on it and a menu comes up. Now you can also remove the background if you don't like it, right? You can remove the background. You can keep it there a little bit if you like. You can have the labels perhaps on the right side, right? You can maybe make it on the top. You can maybe make it in the middle as well. If you guys want to remove some numbers, you can, right? Let's say we remove some numbers over here. We just uncheck these and it'll slowly uncheck everything or add more as well. And we'll find tons of features that you guys will like and dislike as well in here. So that's pretty much the ones that I use here. These ones, they're not really used that often. This one is used quite often, brush, right? You definitely want to be able to use a brush or a rectangle. So these are just different shapes. Triangle is used a lot as well. So I starred all of them over here, right? You can use your brush, choose the color that you would like to have it, perhaps yellow, maybe make it a thicker one like that. And you can just draw on here freehand, okay? Freehand. If you don't like it, what you're drawing, just Control Z and it'll actually remove all of it. If you want to draw a rectangle, choose the colors that you would like perhaps, right? And then you can draw a rectangle just like that, okay? You can choose the color that you want inside. Let's say you want the color inside. Make sure it's green right there. If you don't want it to be that visible, change the transparency of it like that as well, right? You can also draw triangles. Click on the triangle button, then click on the perhaps a green color or any color you want. Click on one point, click on another point, and click on another point, and then now you get a triangle. If you want to change the visibility of the opacity again, you can just click on the triangle, and there you go, and that happens as well. So I'm just going to work with this screen because that pop-up keeps coming up right now, which is really not too fun to be dealing with right now. And if you guys just take a look with me in my position right now for Bitcoin Cash, you guys are seeing that I'm definitely profitable right now. So it's definitely looking pretty good because Bitcoin is actually falling right now. I personally believe that Bitcoin Cash is going to go to about $1,645, and that's where I plan to make about a $1,000 profit on this swing trade position. So let's just keep going back to here. Now that we have the RSI, we have the MACD set up already, okay? So now let's go over some more features that we have. So we have, rectangles that we've talked about. You guys can draw rotated rectangles as well. This will give you kind of like an angled one, right? An angled one there. This one over here, you guys can click on the text button and you can write things, which I use a lot. So be sure to star that, right? always make sure that you're starting the text. If you guys want to draw write somewhere, click on text, click on here. You get a like little screen here. Change it to whatever color that you guys are using. If you're using a white background, you want to choose, of course, a darker color. If you're using a dark background, you want to choose a bright color. Bright colors like yellow and white, they're actually very visible on the black background. So that's a color that I definitely recommend using quite often. You can type whatever you want here. Hello, my name is Philicon, right? Just something like that. You can change the visibility of all of this as well. And if you guys actually want to duplicate something, hold down Control once again, click on what you would like to duplicate, and then just drag it and drop it like that. If you don't like it, just click on Delete. You can also drag and drop this to wherever you like as well. And then there's a lot of other features here, right? These are patterns, for example. If you're using a head and shoulders pattern, right? You can, for example, click on head and shoulders right here. If you guys are familiar with it, here, click on where you want to begin. There's your left shoulder, click there. There's your next part, there's your next part, and just keep clicking where the next ones are. And then you line these up and it'll actually match it up like that. You can change the color to whatever you want. You can make it brighter green, you can make it purple, you can change to whatever color you want to make it really pretty to whatever you guys like, okay? Then there's these Elliott waves as well, right? Here's your Elliott wave toolbars, A, B, C, D, E. Here's ABC, here's WXYZ, WXY, etc. So here, this one I use a lot as well, right? Make sure you have your long and your short position, definitely. So if you have your long position, you click on long, you click on the bottom anywhere on the screen here, and you get your risk to reward setup right here as well. So these are a lot of tools, and I know it might be overwhelming at first, but these are basically the tools that you're going to get very much so used to, okay? And it's just a matter of playing around with it, right? So the important thing to remember is that if you're on auto scale, right, you can't actually move up and down, only left and right. Sometimes you don't like it like that. If you use your mouse to zoom in and out, that's what it ends up looking like, and you don't like that, right? But if you actually click on here, right click there, go to lock scale. Now, if you actually zoomed in and out, it looks like this, okay? It looks a lot better, right? Looks a lot better and it stays proportional. So you guys are definitely going, and you can move it up and down as well. That's important. So let's say you were on auto scale and you want to zoom in only in this part. Click on this magnifying glass called zoom in right there, okay? Zoom in right there. And then you can actually hold down, drag and drop in the section you want to see, release it, and it'll actually bring you to this specific section that you want to see. So that's a really cool feature that I always recommend to people, okay? Very, very cool feature. So make sure you guys are getting used to the idea of the zooming in and out often. Now this button right here, if you look on the right, there's always that tiny little button arrow, right? You guys will see lots of icons, right? You might want to use an arrow to point out there, to point out here, to point out there. If you actually want to copy an arrow somewhere, just hold down Control, and then you can move it to wherever you like as well, okay? This is a ruler button, this is a zoom out button, and that's pretty much going over TradingView in high detail, guys. If you want to save any of your charts, right, just go to save, for example. I can't log in there, right? You can just go to save, just as an example, save it, click on, name it to whatever you like as well. If you want to load the chart, you can just click on load the chart there. If you guys want to actually go to a different time frame, there's this button right here, the D. You can go to 3 hour. You can go to, this one right here as well. Let's see if I'm profitable now. Yeah, I'm actually profitable, guys. I'm doing okay right now for this trade. I'm actually quite up right now. I'm like 100 something dollars up, maybe $200 almost. And we're gonna go over that in a lot more detail when in one of my live trade videos that you guys are gonna see, okay? So this one actually got to 123 already. Not too shabby. I can definitely cannot complain about this right here. Okay, if you guys just take a look at my live trades, I'm definitely a heavy trader, right? I definitely make a lot of trades throughout the day. This one actually got down to about 123 already. If I had closed my position at $123, I would have actually been profitable by 200 bucks already. But I'm waiting for the big plays, guys. I'm waiting for the big plays. And I know that you guys are interested in my trades, but I don't want to hold up your time, of course. I want to be very respectful for the time that you guys give me. So here we're back to the trades, right? Make sure that you guys are remembering a lot of these things that I'm saying, but more importantly, go over everything, okay? Go over everything. And once again, if you go to indicators, right? You can go to like a RSI, you can type in whatever you like in there. It'll show up there. You can customize it to whatever you like there as well, right? Go to indicators, type in EMA, you get your moving average. You can double click on the moving average right here, change it to whatever one you want. For example, a 100 moving average. You can change it to a white thick line, just like that, okay? So this is probably going to give you guys a very good overview of it. So once again, this is the time frame. You can choose whatever time frame that you would like over here. So that's a pretty cool thing to do. You can choose 4 hour, you can choose 1 hour, right? So let's say you're looking at Bitcoin, right? Let's say you want to look at another coin like EOS, for example. You can click on this little open section, EOS, okay? You can go to Bitfinex and it'll actually just move you right over to Bitfinex. So I'm going to show you guys something right here, okay? Let's say that you wanted to look at multiple charts at once, all right? You're interested in looking at multiple charts at once. Let's type in, first of all, Bitcoin right here. So Bitcoin, right? Click on interactive chart. It'll open it up there. Okay. So close this window. All right. Let's say now you want to look at let's say you want to look at 4 charts at once. Okay. Let's say you want to look at EOS as well. Click on EOS. Click on interactive chart. It'll open up into a new tab, right? Close this right here. Let's say you are also wanting to look at Bitcoin Cash. Just as an example, click on Bitcoin Cash wherever you guys would like to see it. Just like that, for example, click on interactive chart. It opens up right here, as you guys can see, right? Now, let's say you also want to take a look at, last one would be maybe Ripple, right? You want to look at Ripple as well. And then now you click on Ripple Rod Bitfinex right there. So then what I do after I have all 4 of these up is this, okay? Let me show you guys a cool trick. Now that I've got 4 tabs here, I click on this one, then I click on that open as pop-up, then I click on this one, I click on open as pop-up, I click on this one, I click on open as pop-up, and then I click on finally Ripple, the last one, and I go to open as pop-up, right? You can just do that. And for example, I can move this to the very top right, which actually snaps it to the screen. And then if I move Bitcoin Cash to the bottom right, it snaps it to the screen, right? And now let's say I want to move EOS to the bottom left, it snaps it to the screen, right? And now I want to move Bitcoin to the top right. Then there you go. Now you've actually got 4 very clean charts. And don't forget, for each one, you can actually hide the drawing tool in there, just like that. Okay, you can hide the drawing tools in here as well. So it's really important for you guys to actually customize TradingView to however you like to trade. I personally believe that it's a very fundamental part of trading. You got to make sure, guys, that you customize it to whatever you like because you're going to be playing on it a lot, right? So once you customize your charts, you're going to be living, you're going to be eating, you're going to be breathing all of these charts pretty much all day. So I highly, highly recommend that you guys put in the time to go over a lot of the options. Make sure you're fine tuning it as well to whatever you like because it will be your bread and your butter, right? So these are really important in my opinion to just make sure, guys, put in the time, customize it, right? Make sure it's pretty, right? You want to be very proud of the work that you do. So I think that this is a very good overview. You guys will get a lot more experience under your belt when you're playing with it because it only comes with a lot of practice, right? So without the practice, you're not going to be able to get this type of experience, for example, that I have on Bitfinex, or not just Bitfinex, but on TradingView. A lot of charts actually, like Binance, for example, or even Bitfinex, what they do is they actually use charts directly from TradingView. So they kind of share the charts like that, right? So yeah, so I hope that this has given you guys a really good insight on how to use TradingView and how to customize it, and especially how to set it up like this so you can have some beautiful screens here at all times, right? This looks gorgeous in my opinion. I personally use only two 32-inch monitors, so you can imagine how much I can actually fit on a single 32-inch monitor, right? Which is actually quite a bit of information in general. I usually keep six charts on one screen, and the other one I just keep it for watching movies or just surfing the internet in general. So I hope I've given you guys a lot of insight, and especially I've helped you guys out in one way or another with learning how to use TradingView. And I really appreciate your time and your effort and your love and your support, especially. If you guys have any questions, please make sure you reach out to me. You guys are my students. I appreciate the fact that you guys are supporting me. There's a question and answer, or there's a question tab right down below here for Udemy, since you guys have absolutely put in the finance, right, to fund your specific learning for this, which I really do think it's an invaluable part of trading. You guys are going to take a lot away from this package, right? Make sure you are also taking it to the fullest advantage, right? Ask your questions, guys. Ask your questions. I sincerely mean it. I want you guys to ask as many questions as you can, and I will be sure to reply to you guys within 12 to 24 hours. As soon as I see it, guys, I'll be making sure that you guys are going to get a very good answer from me as soon as possible. So, thank you very much, guys, for joining me for lesson 6. It's been a pleasure teaching you how to use TradingView. Please ask those questions if I can help you further down the road, and I really look forward to seeing you guys for lesson number 7. And lesson number 7, just to give you guys a quick overview of the next one, we will be talking about what are technical indicators, right? And how are they used? So, what are the importance of technical indicators? We're going to talk about confluence. How do we find confluence, which is basically finding a way for everything to match up? How to align the stars? How do we increase our probability of being more right than wrong? Why is my winning ratio well over 75%, right? It's because I look for confluence. And I really look forward to see you guys in lesson number 7 that's coming up in the next class. And I hope you guys have had a tremendously fun time learning. And most importantly, I hope that you guys have taken a lot